Good morning. This is NycosRPG, and the first question you got to be asking yourself is, what is NycosRPG? Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I'm here Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. in the morning and 11 p.m. at night, bringing you the best information on how to make your game work the best in your community. Uh, Regardless of which role-play mechanism you use, you're welcome. I'd be glad to help you with any of those things, and if you get a chance to watch some of my back videos, you get some concept of how deeply I'm involved in this endeavor of helping make your games great. We are a very small channel. We're just getting started. We've got so much potential, and we hope that you'll stay with us and become part of our community. You can check out information at NycosRPG.com. You can also check it out at NycosRPG on YouTube, as well as our Patreon at patreon.com/Nycos. So let's get started, shall we? Okay, don't mind the roar. I've got a bit of a bear problem, but it'll be fine. It'll work itself out. So you might need to know a little information about Nycos RPG, and in particular, you want to know who the heck is this Game Master's Guide. That's a little bit of hubris to put such a lofty title for yourself, but I'm Jonathan Albin, as I've mentioned before. I was the marketing director for Gamma for a number of years, and I was also the tournament liaison for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card brand for a while. So I've been in the games business functionally most of my adult life, although I've been, again, with the hubris, a Renaissance man. I'm a former air traffic controller, former microwave antenna installer, former cellular technician. I worked on the SR-71 Blackbird program for the U.S. Air Force. I've owned a trucking company and a landscaping company, and was involved in the moving business for a while, a warehouseman, forklift driver, and all that kind of thing, as well as an educator and a father, and all of the things that we're supposed to do. All the check boxes. I've clicked off all the check boxes, but the one distinction that I believe I have over pretty much anybody on the planet is I've been a game master solidly for 50 years, and that's a long time. That's an average of one game per week for that entirety of time. And during the COVID period, for example, I was running 9 sessions per week to help keep people sane during that crazy time. My former title is as a game market guru, and I've been a consultant and promoter and supporter for dozens of games companies during the period of time I was working for Gamma. For example, I was learning how to play 7 to 9 games a week to make sure I could help as many companies as possible figure out how best to get their product to market. I'm also a ghostwriter and author. I've published 300 or so titles as a ghostwriter. Of course, I can't tell you who those folks are, but I've also been an author in my own right, and you can find most of my books on Amazon.com, so feel free to check those out under my author page. I'm also a games creator and publisher. I publish the Nycos RPG itself, as well as Mortis, which is a card game played with traditional cards, and its successor, Rough Justice, which is currently available as well. In addition to those things, I was the father of 2. My daughter tragically died in 1997, but my son is doing well and living on the East Coast. And I'm a grandfather of 2 grandchildren, and I love you guys. And I've also, throughout this time, been a coach and a mentor. I've helped other companies get their footing under them. As a matter of fact, one of the elements of all of this is that the very store that I work at, I run my games at on Mondays and Tuesdays, is itself the product of one of the kids that played at my son's table when my son was at home when he was a teenager. And that person went on to open a game store here in the local area. So I'm a proud papa and a proud proto-papa. But In addition to all of that, I'm also a huge advocate for gameplay across the board. So if you play anything, awesome. We need to get more people playing more games because that really is my mission. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. Well, the next question. Yeah, okay, I know who the Game Master's Guide is now, and I kind of get an idea of what NycosRPG is about, but why are you on YouTube? Well, I'm here because it is fundamentally the largest platform for getting information out in the world. It's like standing on the freeway with a sign, the end is near, change your life, eat Wheaties. The idea is that it's the largest platform, which gives me the largest potential audience and gives the largest number of people access to the information that I provide. Now, that wide audience means that I've got a lot of eyeballs to try to catch. And if you haven't yet, but you are a fan of this show, make sure you share our videos with other people so we can get the word out to more folk. Despite being a well-connected person in the games business, because I was involved with Gamma as a exhibitor relations person and marketing director, as well as the time I was with Konami dealing with the retailer base. I'm virtually unknown in most people. My current subscribership proves that, and my purpose though is global, and it actually extends beyond my local games group, and so that's why I'm putting it here on YouTube. I want to get the word out because the rationale and thought behind Nycos RPG and Imagination Launchpad, which is one of my pet projects, is very clear. We're trying to change the way people think, but we are more importantly trying to help game masters have their best games experiences, because it's my belief that the games experience is where we get to know each other the best, and it is also fundamentally the location from which all education spawns. I'm going to go into that in a later video, but also realize that this is a passion project. I'm not going away. I'm not going to be resigning myself out of existence. I'm going to keep publishing these things until I'm no longer here and I become irrelevant, I suppose. But the reason for that is that the ability to play with all of you and getting tables set up across the world to play role-playing games is my passion. This is what I do. I have done for most of my life. And I intend for this to sort of be a lasting legacy. I've written at least 3 books in the games business. Well, I say at least because, again, ghostwriter. But I've written particularly to the retailer, particularly to the consumer, and particularly to the enthusiast. But I haven't yet reached the, quote, majority of people in the world. And granted, it's sheer hubris to think that I'm going to be able to accomplish it, but if I don't begin the process, I won't. So, Game Master's Guide is here on YouTube, and we are here to stay. Okay, and if you hadn't noticed, my production quality is a lot better than it was initially, but the real mission that I have is that I want to get people playing again. All of us played as children. That's as ubiquitous as breathing. We all played as children. And I want to invite new game masters, or those people who have never even considered game mastery, to do so. But I also want to mentor those veteran game masters, if they are willing to listen, and provide information to them, whether they want to listen or not. Yeah, but the real emphasis is on we need to get more people playing tabletop RPGs, and there's a reason for this. the nature of a tabletop RPG is that you are in an intimate setting, 3 or 4 or 5 people sitting around a table, maybe 6 or 7, but generally less than that. And your interactions are much more personal and much more intimate than they would be otherwise. In addition, this is really to broaden our reach and get more people playing games. Now, in the same process, of course, I want to create new tools that perhaps other game masters haven't considered, or that I found useful in my own foray as game master. But basically, to provide those tools in a way that players can immediately pick them up and accomplish them. As a matter of fact, if you look in the description of this video, there is a download of the NycosRPG fast play rules. So not many people will give away a game, but that's fundamentally what I'm doing. I want you to be able to play it right away. And for more information about what it is thereafter, do check out NycosRPG.com. All right, next is I want to eliminate barriers to play. And many of the barriers to play are merely ignorance. People just simply do not have the information on what roleplay games are. Or perhaps they've had a bad experience, or perhaps they've got no experience. In any of these cases, we want to make people aware of this very, some might say, niche mechanism. I say it's ubiquitous. We've all done it. We just didn't realize we were doing it. And to elevate that play experience back into our lives to where we see the value of it as adults. So how do we play? When we were kids, you simply chose a position or a role in a fictional, obviously made up situation. You say, well, let's play cops and robbers, or let's play prospectors, or whatever. And as you built that story up between you and your friends, there would be a codified story so that as you were playing, you were interacting as those characters. Well, that is the basis of role-play games. Fundamentally, the difference here is that the game master is the one who has to generate the story. And of course, to do that, there's several steps of dynamics. He has to decide what genre you're going to be playing in, what limitations are going to be there, what the conditions of play might be, and to what level does he want this drama to occur. And once he's done that, then he can lay out the framework and say to the players, okay, I'm building this as the story, so what persona, what role do you want to play in this story? And the players then build their persona, they fill out their character sheet, they determine how they're going to be interacting with the story, and then they do so as the game master relates the pieces of the story. Now, some people see the game master's role as stopping there and letting the players generate the story. Others say the game master should elementally create and develop the through line, and then the players embellish. I'm of the mindset of shifting sand. We'll come back to this in a minute, but the idea here is that the interaction that we have as players with the game master and that the game master has with us has to be conversational in tone and gather steam as the players inject what they want to do with the scene. Now, the game master does have to, in providing those scenarios, develop a way of allowing the players to interact. And these interactions, in the case of NycosRPG, take the form of checks, challenges, conflicts, contests, and combat. Now, yes, it's a little alliteration, and those of you that have watched my videos before are aware of my affinity for word plays and things like alliteration. But the reason why these different conflicts are recorded in these broad general characteristics is that it makes it easy for a player, especially somebody who's never played a game before, to understand what each one represent. A check is a basically a die roll against your skill at an action, and if you succeed at that skill roll, you succeed at that action. Challenges are the same thing, but are under duress. Conflicts are counter agency, so one player's skill is actually opposed to another. There's more information in this coming up in additional videos, and also videos I've done in the past. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and put one right here. There it is, for the kinds of conflict in NycosRPG. And the idea here is that the graduated levels of these change based on their sophistication and their need for interactive capabilities. But the idea is that you interact with the story. You are, as a player, putting your 2 cents into how the story develops, and the game master then adjudicates that. Every role-play game out there, I can't think of a one, I should say, that does not use a character sheet or a persona sheet. The idea here of the persona packet is that you're going to end up with a multi-page document that covers all the things you would need to have in the game in an easy-to-search format. You start off with 4 basic elements of the character sheet. As you notice in this case, in the bold print, you have base, race, place, and estate. And each of these represents a different element or segment of the character's creation, so that once you have this sheet filled out, then you have all you need to start playing the game. Literally, you could literally start with just this and nothing else. Base is the framework. It's like a skeleton. You're going to create these 7 attributes, and from these attributes you'll be able to see what the character looks like, get an idea of how they act, how fast they are, all of the basic information you would need to know about the persona. Under the term race, I did again, if you notice, there's the alliteration of base, race, place, estates built in, but in addition to that, the races are your species, and so there's a wide variety. As a matter of fact, in the NycosRPG Dark Shards, there are 35 different species, so there's very little to restrict what kind of a persona you want to play in terms of what species you want to come from. The element of place is the culture from which you come, so that gives you an idea of where you were brought up, what kind of things are important to you, and then values are literally that, what you desire and what you have chosen to play. Now, beyond this, I'm going to do an entire video. There will be an entire video on the persona packet, but just realize that this mechanism we're using is percentile based or percentage based, which means you're rolling percentile dice, either a D100 or 2D10s. But that makes it simple because everybody already thinks in terms of percentages. We listen to weather reports that say it's a 60% chance of rain, and so we know to possibly throw an umbrella in the car. So a system that is percentage based makes it fast to play also, because you can just simply understand that rolling the percentage dice and rolling the value or less means we have succeeded at it. This also leads to the mechanism in the game that is called intentional self-advancement. The game master no longer has to provide you with the experience points or the permission to advance your character. You merely do so every session incrementally. And by having an incremental advancement, players literally guide the course of their existence into the areas of life they wish to pursue, ignoring those things they don't want to be involved with, and also building towards the ones that they do in a intentional way. Because the system is culture and values defined and derived, the players have the control over where the story goes, because they are the ones who decide what's important for them, what's important to this persona, and therefore make choices as far as their actions conducive to the improvement of those skills they picked up from their culture and their values. Now, most role-play games are defined as either sandbox role-play games or table or railroad role-play games, and it's not necessarily by the rules that are being used, but rather by the game master's style. And so this system is set up on what I call shifting sand. I mentioned it earlier, but shifting sand structure means that as a storyteller and a game master, I have a story to tell, and that story is based on a passage of time. And whether the players get involved with that story or not, those things that are planned out and predicted will happen in the story. But the players can choose which of the elements of that story they want to pursue. And I simply shift the sandbox, so to speak, by letting them know what's going on in the rest of the world on an ongoing basis. This is not a process most game masters use. As a matter of fact, most game masters wouldn't even think about what I'm saying here, because this is 50 years of experience talking. The idea that the players want to pursue their own course, absolutely. But if there's something going on in the world that I think they should be made aware of, they'll get news reports. They'll get information from outside sources that provide them that information, and then that will possibly leverage them to change their course, or perhaps align with what's going on in the story. But this mechanism is fundamentally built to accommodate high and very high levels of fantasy, which means your levels of what you can do in terms of your magics, what you can do with in terms of military conflict. These are all things that are ratcheted up to 11, because the very mechanism is self-regulating, because all of the advancements they can make still only leave them with a certain numeric value against which they have to roll. And there's still going to be those moments of clarity where the dice roll fails and they simply have to deal with the results of the game session in play. And because of that, it doesn't matter whether you are letting the players run rampant with their imaginations and such. As a matter of fact, in the world of Nycos, the entire magic system is fundamentally what the players define for themselves, utilizing the basis for what causes magic to work. Now, there's a lot more detail, of course, that goes into the Persona sheet. There's going to be a video for that here. I'm putting in the right area, I think, or there. But that will provide you information on how to build your character. And for more information, of course, you can get your copy of the sheet from the link down below that'll take you to that source. So, as a recap, I want to thank you for being here for our video today. If you want to have a copy of the Master Play rules and get a chance to look them over, those are available through the link below, as is the Persona sheet and the community identity sheet, which is also down below. And we're going to be linking this video to that one as well. So I want to thank you again for being here. If you like what you saw, make sure you like this video and follow us to get more content as we develop it. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, if you're on Twitch, the subscription gets you no commercials. You actually get to avoid the commercials by joining us with the subscription button. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe, because it's a great way to get our channel up and stable. And we want to make this a daily event and keep it a daily event for as long as we can. Alrighty, I'm Jonathan Alvin, this is NycosRPG, and I will see you next time.